And Tom, are we recording this meeting?
We should be.
We
Stephen,
will be. I think Dorian just started the recording. I believe.
There we go. Right there where it says we started. Thanks for asking, bringing that up.
And Dorian, Ken Moen, thanks for pulling this together. I know I was a pain in your side there about once a month.
You were great.
It's good to keep it going. And we don't have anybody from tourism on. Dorian, have they not responded or just don't care? That's not
We
fair.
do not have a member from tourism appointed yet.
Okay, I will. I have an appointment with Brendan next week, and I'll bring that up. All right. Good morning, everyone. We're convening the initial meeting of the Air Service Development Commission. Today is July 24th. It is 11 a.m. in the morning. Thank you for being here. We're going to start by, I'll be calling roll call. Please signify by saying present or aye. Mr. Kenneth Moen.
Present.
Scott Kitchline.
Present.
Scott, did I say that okay?
It's Kickline, actually.
Kickline, thank you for that help. I appreciate that. I'll endeavor to do better. Tina Iffinger.
It's Tina Iftiger, present.
Okay.
So like Tigger the Tiger, Winnie the Pooh.
There we go.
Tigger.
Yep.
Didn't want Scott to feel left out.
Yeah. So as long as I'm butchering, I'm going to thank Chris Abraham for having a name I can pronounce. Chris.
Present.
Thank you. Curtis Horton.
Present.
Reese Keener.
I'm here.
Okay. I can confirm that we have a quorum. It is now time for public comment. If you have public comment, you are limited to 3 minutes and are limited to the items on the agenda. And you may call in by using the information that is posted on the agenda. So do we have anybody calling in, Stephen?
I don't see anyone.
Okay,
unless there's someone on that has public comment from our group, but no, I don't see anyone additional.
Yeah. And we have not received any written public comment?
Not to my knowledge, unless Dorian has.
Nope. Okay.
I am not either.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment from folks that have signed in on the meeting? Hearing none, we're going to close item 2 on the agenda. Item 3, welcome and introductions. I want to start off by saying thank you for whether you were told or volunteered for being here. I'm grateful for your public service and know that it takes some time and your precious time out of your day. And so we are grateful for your service to the folks of the state of Nevada. I'm Tom Burns. I'm the director of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I've been here about 18 months. I've lived in Nevada for 54 years. Kind of have relationships on both ends of the state, but ran a small business in Las Vegas for a long time. And so I've been here, and maybe we'll just take a minute and we'll go around the horn and just allow each of us to have a brief introduction. So Mr. Keener, can we start with you?
Sure. Good morning, commission members and staff. My name is Reese Keener. I'm Mayor of Elko, and I'm here by way of the Nevada League of Cities membership. And flight service is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm a frequent flyer and travel quite a bit. Being out here in the hinterlands, we're about 300 miles to the east of Reno and about 400 miles north of Vegas. And so it just super essential to have the flight connectivity. It's also very important for our industry as well. We're the gold producing capital of the lower 48 states. And that's our big economic driver here. But we also have a lot of medical professionals that depend on our flight service. And currently right now, that is delivered via SkyWest Airlines Delta Connection. And they've served this market for probably about the past 35 years. And they're our only commercial carrier. Prior to the pandemic, we had 2 flights daily. And after everything set in with the reduced air travel, we were cut back to just 1 flight daily. And we've had to pay about $1.2 million in the form of a minimum revenue guarantee to them over the past year to retain that service. The good news is now that they've stabilized with a consistent flight schedule, we are seeing our numbers grow. So we'll be able to grow our way out of that minimum rate guarantee. However, I think what we'll want to do is transition that over and use that revenue guarantee for a second flight to get that back. So when my mayoral position is my side hustle to pay the bills, I own a office equipment business that along with my wife, and I've operated that now for over 28 years, and I've got about 2.5 years left on my mayoral term before I get termed out. So I'm excited to serve on this board and look forward to getting to know each and every one of you better. Thank you.
Perfect. Tina Iftiger.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Tina Iftiger. I have been appointed through the Reno Tahoe Airport Authorities or Reno Tahoe International Airport designation. I've been with the airport about 15 years. I've served in multiple capacities, including doing statewide aviation legislation. So I've worked in the south of the state, and I've worked in the rural parts. So very familiar with the entire state. And right now I serve as the Chief Air Service Development Officer. And before that, I worked for the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada, EDON. So I have a lot of experience in economic development as well. Looking forward to serve on this board and serving the state. Thank you.
Great. Tina, thank you. Mr. Moen?
Yeah, good morning. Ken Moen. I am the president of the Nevada Aviation Association, and our organization was instrumental in proposing the legislation last session for 2 components. One was the Air Service Development Commission and having them move from Department of Tourism over to Tom Burns's department, and they were very supportive of that endeavor. The other component was a appropriation of $2 million over 2 years for the Nevada Fund for Aviation, which is a purpose is to support local grant matches to the rural airports. And this is a culmination, this meeting today, of a lot of effort to make this happen. And with the work of Tom and his staff, and especially Dorian, and there's the gentleman who left about 6 months ago or so, started the ball rolling, and we were able to pull that together. So I'm especially appreciative of this group and your volunteering to participate and assist the state in improving air service to all components, all areas of the state. So very excited. And I worked with Tina for about 7 years at the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. And I managed consultant in the airport industry, and spent 27 years with the Federal Aviation Administration in the air traffic control field. So
Great.
Excited
Thank
to
you.
be here.
You bet. Mr. Horton?
Good morning. I'm Curtis Horton. I'm located in Carson City, Nevada. I've been here about 55 years. I worked for Public Works for 36 years here, retired as the deputy director, and was foolish enough to run for office and was elected as the board member for Ward 3 in the Carson City Supervisors, which has been very rewarding and a lot of fun so far. So I hope to keep that up for a while. I am here as the NACO representative, so I don't know a lot about airports, but I'm excited to learn and see what we can do.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Kickline.
Hi, Scott Kickline. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for the Clark County Department of Aviation. So Harry Reid International and our reliever airports down here at Clark County. I've got air service development, aviation revenues, airlines, non-airline revenue, ground transportation. Basically, if it makes money in the airport system here, it comes through my office. And I've been with the department for 29 years. I'm also a commercial pilot and was with a couple of other airports before I made my way to Nevada.
Great. Well, thank you. And finally, Mr. Abram.
I'm Christopher Abraham. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Grand Sierra Resort in Reno. I've been here for 10 years. Also spent time in Vegas at various properties, including reopening the Sahara a few years ago, which is owned by the same owner as Grand Sierra Resort. I've served on the Reno Air Service Committee for the past 5 or 6 years and was chair of that for 2 years. Currently in the process of building an arena here in Northern Nevada. So excited about the prospects of increasing air service to Nevada. And helping generate, more commerce and business for really both North and Southern Nevada.
Terrific, thank you. Well, again, we are grateful for your service, all of you, to the state of Nevada. With that, we'll be closing out item 3, moving on to item 4, which is election of chair, vice chair, and secretary. I'll be taking each one of these individually. And I'm going to open up the nomination for the election of chair of the Air Service Development Commission of the state of Nevada. Mr. Horton, are you up, please? You're muted, Mr. Horton. Mr. Horton, you're muted.
I move to nominate Reese Keener for chair.
Okay. Very good. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'm going to close the. Go ahead, please.
Are you able to self-nominate?
Certainly.
Or do you want somebody? Okay.
There's nothing. Right.
Okay. Well, I'd like to self-nominate for vice chair.
Okay, we're going to take them one at a time.
Oh, okay, one at a time.
Yeah,
sorry.
So
yeah,
that option will be here available to us shortly.
Okay.
Very good. So right now we have a nomination for chair of the commission, Mr. Reese Keener. Hearing no other nominations, I'm going to close the nominations. We'll go through the formality. All those in favor of Mr. Keener being commissioner or chair of the commission, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Keener. Appreciate your, again, additional service. You needed one more title, right? So that's important.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Looking forward to it and learning more about airports around the state. I've been pretty involved with our regional airport. I failed to mention in my intro that the city of Elko is the owner operator of the Elko Regional Airport.
Good deal. Well, your first duty, your next duties, and first official duties, Mr. Keener, will be able to take over the nominations for vice chair and secretary as we move forward. So I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you for that, Tom. All right, we had a self-nomination for vice chairman. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, sir. I would like to make a nomination. I would like to nominate Tina Itzker for vice chair.
Okay. All right, anyone else? All right, we'll go ahead and close up the nominations. And I think at this time, let's just hear from each one of the candidates, beginning with Mr. Kenneth Moan.
Well, in the case of Tina's nomination, I will support her as the vice chair. So you can withdraw my name.
All right, that you just saved us from our first controversial item. So thank you for that, Commissioner Moan. All those in favor of Commissioner Tina Itzker serving as vice chair, in favor, say aye.
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 And I also vote aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, so next up, secretary. And do I hear any nominations for secretary?
Yes, sir. I would like to nominate Scott Kickline for secretary.
All right, are there any other nominations for secretary? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close off nominations and take the vote. All those in favor of Commissioner Kickline serving as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye for approval. Congratulations, I think. All right, next up we have commission objectives, AB 58, and I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Burns to walk us through that.
You bet, you bet. So as Commissioner Moen had pointed out earlier, under AB 58, which was passed in the 2023 legislature, this commission was moved over to the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Our objective, obviously, is to authorize and award grants to carriers and to non-hub and small hub airports with large hub services, and help them provide air service and or maintenance to rural airports within the state of Nevada. And Mr. Moen, I would be open to your wise sage advice if you wanted to expand upon that.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. One of the challenges when this legislation was passed, we didn't receive funding for this particular commission. And my vision going into this was to get this commission stood up. And so that's the first step on that path. But I think a second step on this path might be to develop a strategic plan for this group, and then be able to, out of that strategic plan, I would think would come an air service development study and for the state. And those seem to be within our grasp. We, under the legislation, we're allowed to set gifts and grants and other donations. And so I think that looking at the agencies involved on the commission, we might be able to pull some resources together to do that. Another benefit of the change to AB 58 was to allow the definition of not just air carrier, but also include air taxi type operations. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a twin engine jet. And so it's serving the communities. That study would determine what the need is for that. So I think my suggestion to the group would be to consider those steps as our focal point.
Mr. Burns, do we have any type of funding available to us through GoEd for a study such as Commissioner Moan mentioned?
We don't at this time, no.
Okay, is there any way you could shake any funding loose, or are there any other funding sources that we might have?
We are moving forward with our budget coming into the upcoming year and submitting that as we speak. Like most other agencies within our state, none of us are remarkably over financed.
Capitalized, yeah, right.
As this Mr. John Ralston, the journalist, said about a year and a half ago, Nevada has a remarkable knack of funding things to 2/3 of what they should, and then hoping we get by on grit. And so that's kind of where we're at. That's a long story of saying that regrettably, I don't have any of that right now.
Commissioner Moan, what kind of price tag are we looking at for a study such as that you mentioned?
Well, thanks for that question, Commissioner or Chairman. An air service study can vary depending on the complexity of the study, so that's the given. A strategic plan is probably a little bit easier to fund initially, and I know that the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority, and I'm sure Clark County Division of Aeronautics, Department of Aeronautics, has gone through a similar process, could assist with coming up with a figure, and we might be able to draw on some resources within the state to assist in developing that plan that or goes straight the consultant route. So I would defer to maybe their current experience of if Tina has some feedback on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mullen. Chair Keener. Maybe we could get a huddle together and just kind of make sure we scope it according to all needs on this commission. And I want to make sure that we're looking at it holistically, but I'm happy to participate in that and help scope it. We did do a study, an economic development strategy, or sorry, air service development strategy for the Reno Tahoe International Airport. We have a very competent consultant on retainer. I don't have much capacity to add in the scope, but I'm sure that he would have capacity to help us scope this if we wanted to make it tight and really get an accurate cost estimate for Mr. Burns.
Okay.
So I'm happy to help and lend some consulting expertise from my consultant.
That would be awesome if you could do that and come back with some type of a expectation in terms of funding requirement on that. We also have, City of Elko has a consultant that we have on retainer, Air Planners, and their primary market is to small communities such as Elko that have regional airports. So I'll reach out to Air Planners as well. They assist in all forms of consulting, so I'm sure that would be something that would be up their alley and they could participate in as well.
Yeah, I think our consultant is probably too focused on large, international air carriers and may not. I'll check with them. But I think, our focus for our air service development has been on, direct international service. And so they're really, their focus is probably outside of the scope of the committee, as I understand it, as we're here to look at the rural communities and air service development there.
Right. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna elaborate a little bit, and kind of the focus that I've wrestled with is the importance of being able to connect the three-legged stool of the state, Vegas, Reno, Elko, because there's some difficult challenges to that in a number of respects. But one is there's neighboring states that have, in a rural state like Wyoming, who has gone through this process on their own. And so there might be some models that we can look at and see how that all benefits that aspect. But I think that would, something obviously once we got into the study and the scoping that we would look at. So it's so crucial that those parts are integrated. I mean, we got, gosh, I don't know, Tina, 12 flights a day between Reno and Las Vegas or something of that nature.
That's pretty close.
Yeah. So that's a really,
and 2 carriers.
Yeah, right. Spirit and Southwest, and I think JetBlue at some point had, or we're talking about that. But anyway, long story is to not just so focus on just the rules, because if this becomes a rule focus,
Yep.
we're going to lose the broader picture of the system.
Understood. Yeah, 100%. Director Burns, you had your hand up.
I did. One of the questions was answered. I was just wondering kind of what the scope and who did those kinds of studies, just because it's kind of foreign ground to me, but I think that was addressed. The other comment I'd like to make is that for those of you that have not served on public commissions before, we have to be a little wary of contact that we have outside of this meeting due to open meeting laws and how they come forward. So I don't want to discourage things that are good for the state by any stretch of the imagination. We just need to make sure that we do them in a forum that is consistent with Nevada law. So I will have our DAG, if David is not present at this meeting, and I don't think he is, I think he's on vacation. I'll have David just come forward and, if with your permission, Mr. Chair, maybe give us a briefing so that we stay within those lines. And right, everybody here has the best of intentions, so I'm not of the opinion, any other opinion. I also don't want somebody that's doing good service for the state of Nevada to somehow, have some inconvenience due to the fact that they were trying to do good work and didn't realize what they were doing. Maybe fell out of that scope. So with your permission, Mr., we'll bring that up maybe for discussion at the next meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great to have a refresher for everyone for Nevada open meeting law. And then I wanted to go down to Commissioner Kickline. Is it still the case at the Harry Reid International that they accept only the full-size jets?
No, we have SkyWest operates here under United, not under Delta currently, I don't believe. But no, we have some smaller regional jet and smaller service here. So we have the ability to handle those.
I'm really happy to hear that, because my understanding was that that your airport wanted only 737 size and up. So I'm delighted to hear that. Great.
We've quite a bit of GA traffic, as well as JSX operating out of here, Jet Suite X. So yeah, we have quite a bit of smaller traffic, either on the general aviation side on the west side, or like I said, over here with the United connection.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to cover on this item number 5 with respect to the commission objectives? All right.
I apologize, Chair Reese, and I don't know if I'm allowed to speak here, but I did realize that I missed frequency and scheduling of the next meeting as an action item, but it does fit within the scope of this item.
Okay. All right. And then are we tasked with meeting quarterly?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a minimum of quarterly meetings. So if we wanted to move this scoping item for a strategic plan, air service plan along, we might be able to look at doing that a little bit sooner than later than the next quarter.
Okay. And then I would also expect that as we move into the legislative session,
Right.
There'll probably be need for greater frequency with meetings as well. Do we want to look at meeting in early October? Would that be an acceptable time frame? I'm going to be out of the country during the last half of September. I'm back in Elko in early October, then at the beginning of October.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
Director Burns, if it's possible, it would be great to get the legal briefing about how to manage our communications and ad hoc meetings as it relates to the scoping exercise. If we could get that sooner than later, if it's in writing, I'm fine with that. I just
Okay.
want to make sure we don't misstep.
We'll reach out today and request that, and as soon as we have it, we certainly are okay to circulate that among the commissioners. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
If I could, Chair Keener, if I could step in here, as staff for the agency, myself and I'll go ahead and volunteer Dorian for this as well. Until you guys get that briefing, we serve as staff to this commission, so communications can come through us.
Okay,
Correct.
perfect. All right, so having said that, can someone from staff send out a few proposed dates for early October? Is that acceptable to the board?
That'd be great.
Will do.
All right, thank you for that, Dorian. All right, moving on to item number 6, annual legislative report. I'll turn that back to Director Burns.
At this point, I don't have any new news that we haven't covered with regards to the upcoming. We are in the process of putting together budgets, and so certainly at the direction of this commission, we could look at further legislative desires, and that would probably be up to you, Mr. Chair, but might be an appropriate thing for our October meeting.
Okay, and then I'm going to defer to Commissioner Moan on this item. Obviously, we'll want to see if we can recover the funding that was lost in the last legislative session. Do you have anything on your radar for the upcoming legislative session that would be helpful to share with the group?
Well, the Nevada Aviation Association is retained Black & Wadhams as our lobbying firm, and I believe that Amy is on from their firm today, participating in the call. So we're just now have completed our engagement letter, so we're just beginning the discussion on our legislative plan, but our board has put up the challenge of creating a Department of Aeronautics for the state, separate from Nevada Department of Transportation. Currently, there's 2 employees that exist within NDOT that are tasked with aviation, and one of them has been in the position about 5 months, and the other one has just started like in the last week or 2. And so very limited focus on aviation for the state overall. And so I think the way this commission was formed was to put some more emphasis on the last session, was to put more emphasis on aviation at the executive level. And so being able to have this body stood up and appointed by the governor, I think was a big step in that. So I think in that conversation, one of the things that as the commission is going to need some budget to support our efforts. And so I think we're going to need to look at that going into the October session, what kind of budget needs we'd have. Now, Director Burns, you probably have some insight whether that should be looking at additional funding for the commission through GOED as part of your budget. Is that what you were referring to earlier?
That has not been part of our conversation to this point.
So I think that Chair Keener, I think that's something that we're going to have to determine probably around by that no later than October, so that we have a plan going forward about how to fund our operation.
Okay. All right. And then do you have any placeholders with any of the legislators for things that might come up that are aviation related?
Well, that's the plan that we're putting in place now, and so that's going to develop here between, I'm sure by the October meeting, that Amy and Jim and Jesse Wadhams will have pulled something together that can give this commission an update at that time. And we're happy as part of our efforts to use our lobbying time and efforts towards getting the Air Service Development Commission properly funded. Because if we're going to make grants as a organization, we got to have a mechanism to be able to provide those grants.
Sure, sure. Amy, did you want to add anything to that?
Just wanted to say we're very excited to be working with this group. We are already starting to triage and put into place some strategies, kind of to your point, Chair, as to those key parties, whether it be legislators or other interested parties to help move this forward. I know there's been some great progress in the past, but I'm really taking those steps and identifying that, and then just getting off the ground with Ken and moving forward.
Great. All right. Anything more on that front from anyone else?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Moen, when you referenced other state initiatives as templates, do they have examples of budgets that they use for MRGs or other air service development? Because it would be nice to try to figure out, we're talking about 2 buckets of funds now, I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got a bucket for air service development and grants, if you will, to carriers, but we're also talking about administrative funds for the commission to do a study and other things, correct?
Correct. You're absolutely correct, Tina. And if you look at Wyoming as an example, they have 9 commercial service airports that they have air service for. And they have created a model around that, and it's been in place for at least the last 6 years. So I think we can get some historical info on that. I also have located a couple earlier air service studies that were done in Nevada that were similar. They're older, they're like 2009-ish, but that might give us some historical context that we'll be able to use going forward. And so I think the key, just since this is also brand new for the state of Nevada to have this statewide focus on aviation air service development, that looking at what's been in place and then trying to figure out how it works for Nevada the best. And I think that those resources, our neighbors, and some of these other past studies that have been done, we can collate those together. And because the administrative piece, I think, is going to be critical to help this start right. If we don't have a strong support on the fiscal note to be able to do the studies and get some clear direction, I think we'll just stumble out of the block, and I'd hate to see that happen.
Well, you're going to need it to prove the value of any other funds for grants.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. I'm familiar with the Wyoming plan that was mentioned, and our airport director has some information on that. I'll try to collect that. And
I have it that I can email through staff and
okay, perfect.
Get that out.
Perfect. And for anyone that has correspondence from the board members, Stephen, will you be the liaison for that?
Absolutely. Dorian or myself, we reach out to either one of us and we can do that for you.
Terrific. Thank you.
And I think one of the things I mentioned in the interim, being able to set gifts or grants, I'll just throw it out as a concept. We might be able to talk to our partners, obviously, which are our appropriate employers, if there's some resources that they would be interested in sharing to help get this initiative going. So I think that's something we should consider just individually and think, okay, is this bandwidth in my own organization able to provide some funds to do this? But I think once we have the scope and get an idea of what that looks like before we make any ask of how to support that.
Right. Yeah, got to have a plan first and know what it's going to cost to execute. Right. All right. Anything final on this before we move on to public comment? All right. Moving on to public comment. I'll call for public comment first from the general public, and then I'll come back to board members for any final parting shots. Any public out there wishing to have any public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and open it up to the board and just like to say that, again, I'm looking forward to serving with each of you board members and staff as well. And I think this is a great opportunity to move the needle on aviation within the state of Nevada, and huge economic benefits. I think that's probably the primary reason why this fell into Director Burns's lap, because it falls within that sphere. And there was one other point I know what I wanted to say. So I have never served on a statewide commission before. I don't know how formal we want to run it. I'm happy with on a first name basis. I guess the exception would be if we were including members of the legislature, or if we had an item that had a lot of public interest. I just wanted to kind of pull the rest of the board members on that.
I prefer Tom.
Works for me.
Yeah, I stumbled coming out of the block with calling people commissioner or
Yeah.
chair and whatnot, so I'm good with that.
Okay, perfect. I'm more comfortable with that as well. And anyone have any objections to that?
No.
All right, we'll just keep it as informal as we can then, unless the situation dictates otherwise.
Well, can I make a quick plug?
Sure.
Reese, the Nevada Aviation Association has its monthly board meeting tomorrow. It's a call-in meeting, strictly virtual. We're going to have a brief introduction of our lobbying firm, and I'll give a report on this first meeting. If anybody's interested in that, I can send it through staff to share that contact information.
Yeah,
I would be
please.
interested. Thank
Oh,
you.
super. You bet.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. Awesome. I'll do that.
Great. Thanks for that, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet.
Anything else?
I have a quick comment. Actually, I would like to take a minute to thank Ken for the advice he gave me prior to the commission, prior to me accepting NACO's nomination. I wasn't really sure what AB 58 was all about or what our purpose was, but having worked with Ken in the old days in Carson, I was able to contact him and talk to him, and his explanation was outstanding. He spent time with me and I really appreciate it. And he is quite knowledgeable about aviation and the industry. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank him for taking the time to do that.
My pleasure. I'm just so thrilled for this whole group to get together on this topic, and I think it's big for the state. And that's been my pitch, is that aviation is not just about our individual communities. This is a statewide effort, and we can really move the needle on the economic impact to our communities.
Great. Yeah, no, for sure. All right. If hearing nothing else, last call. All right. So the first meeting of the Air Service Development Commission is hereby adjourned, and we'll hope to reconvene then in early October. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Respectively, we'll work on getting some of the material together for the next meeting.
And
Have a
Reese,
nice day, everyone.
Be safe. Take care.
safe travels, Reese.